I've asked you here today to make a press release with regard to the issuance of a proclamation declaring a local state of disaster due to a public health and economic emergency. And I want to emphasize the economic part of it because that's most of what I'm seeing these days is the economic fallout from this pandemic. And so I'm going to issue the order today, and it will be filed with the county clerk, and Kerr County will be under a state of disaster. I've been hesitant to do this because we don't have a positive diagnosis of a COVID-19 case. But in lieu of the conversation I'm having with people in the county with regard to the economic situation, I felt it imperative that we go ahead and make the declaration so that these people can begin to start availing themselves of some of the benefits and the programs that are available for them, to try to keep the cash flow going, to keep the jobs, and keep employees able to support their families. Let me emphasize that there is no health emergency per se right now. We don't have a positive diagnosis. I will inform you that the county with DSHS is monitoring 8 cases here in Kerr County. And these are just monitoring. Most of them are low-key, meaning they just self-monitor their temperature and stay in touch with us, and self-quarantine. The high-risk cases are self-quarantined. And we've got a couple of those. We don't know if they're going to be positive yet or not. But it's all being managed very professionally right now. I have both of our district judges here today on purpose. There was an article in one of the papers that our district courts were closed. Well, as you can see, they are not. In fact, one of the primary essential functions that we're required to keep the courthouse open for is the criminal justice system. The sheriff's office still has abide by the same constitutional and statutory rights, maintain the jail and apprehend people that are violating the law. And we have to keep that criminal justice system going from magistration through whatever hearings are done here. Most of those hearings, I think, are being done through Zoom or some equivalent of that at this point. But the district courts are open to handle all essential matters, which include the criminal justice system, as well as some non-essential civil matters. And I know they've been very busy with that. They've been here, I think, just as much or more than I have. So I wanted to clear up that misimpression. The courthouse is open, and I need to emphasize that, and the courthouse will be open. We are required to perform all of our constitutional and statutory essential services, and this courthouse will remain open. That includes the sheriff's office, the district courts, the county court at law, my court, which includes juvenile and mental health. Juvenile and mental health are considered essential services. I have temporarily postponed the probate docket because that's not necessarily essential unless we have some sort of emergency guardianship or something. And that includes our clerk's offices that handle that, and includes our JP offices to the extent that they have something that is essential that has to be done. As you know, we've suspended evictions, foreclosures. I think a large part of their docket has been put on hold for the time being. For those people that are concerned about registering their vehicles, paying their taxes, all of that has been suspended temporarily. It's been delayed. The obligation hasn't gone away, but you don't have to worry about getting it paid on time. And the law enforcement has been instructed not to stop people for expired registration on their vehicles. So rest easy that that's not going to be a problem for anyone. As of today, we implemented a rotating schedule for all of our commissioners to be available here at the courthouse. And we have, every commissioner has got, I think, a 2-hour shift each day. And Commissioner Letts here with me. Commissioner Letts is here because he's second in command. If I go down, he goes up. So, and Dub's here no matter which one of us is up. But, and I think I've got Commissioner Harris and Commissioner Moser here in the mornings, and Commissioner Letts and Commissioner Ballou are here in the afternoons. And I will be here throughout the day. along with our court coordinator, who really kind of cracks the whip on all of us to keep us going. But the courthouse will be open. The commissioners will be here. The county judge will be here. And I just want everyone to understand that we'll keep the lights on, we'll fly the flag, and we're here on duty to protect and serve. A couple of things that I wanted to address specifically is we've implemented our joint emergency operations center over at the second floor of the parking garage across from City Hall. Dub's over there daily. We have a Thursday morning briefing of the stakeholders. We'll do that every Thursday, and I will have a press conference after every meeting. I think it's important that y'all know what's going on with the stakeholders so we can share it with you. But we found out in the meeting yesterday, the Commissioners Court meeting, my commissioners don't know what's going on because I can't talk to them unless we're in a public session. So in order for them to know what I'm learning at these briefings, I'm going to have press conferences so that everybody knows exactly where we are and try to keep the public informed as we progress through this. The stakeholders that are over there, of course, are the city and their emergency management staff, the county and our emergency management staff. This past week we had Dr. Faust from KISD who was over there. We had, who was the fellow from K-Pub? I forget now. Anyway, K-Pub was there to talk to us about our electric grids to make sure that we're in good hands with our energy going forward. Shriner University was represented by Dr. McCormick was there. And then I'm trying to think, I drew a blank. Somebody handed me a note and distracted me, so, but the sheriff does this routinely. I'll correct that at the end. So, but in any event, the stakeholders meet. One of the things we talked about that is not emergency management per se is the child care issue. As you know, we're working in kind of platoons, scheduling here at the courthouse. Not everybody here is working full-time. We're trying to protect the health and safety of our staff as well as the public. But I lost track of what I was telling you. But in any event, I wanted to share that, Peterson was there, Peterson Regional Medical Center, Corey Edmonds. And the hospital and our emergency management teams are as prepared for this medical emergency as we can literally be. And with the hospital, they were announcing to us that anyone that needs to be tested for the coronavirus, do not go to the hospital without a doctor's order. You need to have a doctor's order. If you show up, they're going to turn you away. And with the doctor's order, you can be tested there. And the way they're doing it is they will swab you there and then send the swabs to San Antonio where the lab is, the test, and you get the test results shortly after that. But that is the process. Law enforcement and healthcare providers are the exception to having to have the doctor's order, but you still have to be screened before you can be tested. Then one of the things I learned that was interesting, I was coming back to child care. That's where I lost my train of thought. But Shriner, by the way, has cleared out one entire dormitory that has private bathrooms for each room to be available for quarantine if necessary. So we have made substantial arrangements. The hospital has 2 right now, and I think they're trying to get it to 3 negative pressure rooms in the emergency, in the ER. And they have, I think, at least 2 rooms that are negative pressure rooms, and that's so that the virus doesn't float, doesn't rise. That's why we have the fans off in here today. And they are prepared to convert perhaps 1 wing of the hospital for isolation if necessary. So we're prepared. We don't know what we're prepared for, but as much as we can be, we're prepared for this. What I was going to tell you about child care is with the schools out at this point, we have a lot of teachers and even at Shriner University, a lot of coaches that don't have anything to do. And so they're being reassigned. And one of the dialogue that's taking place is between KISD and Shriner University in trying to come up with possibly reassigning some of these people to help with the child care situation. With as many people with you just think about how many kids we have loose right now, that you need to have some sort of parental supervision. And we're trying to make sure that we comply with our 10-person gathering limitation with regard to child care. They were talking about trying to use the Methodist Church down the street from the hospital for the healthcare workers, but we still can't put 200 kids in the Methodist Church. We still have to break them out individually. So the mayor formed a committee, a child care committee, that is going to report back this Thursday with some recommendations. And even though that's not technically emergency management, it's something that's important to the community that our stakeholders are working on, and we'll have something hopefully to report this week. The economic crisis that I'm looking at has to do with being able to get bridge loans to stay open. In fact, I talked to Chris Avery just yesterday. They've stopped their retail. James Avery has stopped retail, and they stopped manufacturing. They do have a distribution center where they're sending out their inventory for mail orders, which is pretty important. And he's asking me to take that into consideration before we start closing these businesses. He's got about 30 employees doing that. They're all CDC compliant. He's got them spaced out. We're doing everything there that they would be doing at home. And so we're trying to figure out what to do with our businesses to try to keep them open. Everybody hears about the president and the essential industries. I did get a call from Lori Lowe with Lowe Construction to remind me that commercial and residential construction is an essential industry. So they will continue, and so we're complying with whatever the federal government tells us is essential, but we're also doing our own local assessment as to what is essential. Avery's got all of his employees still on the payroll. I'm impressed with that. Not everybody can do that, and so we want to try to accommodate them and help their cash flow as much as possible, and we want to do that for the other local businesses too. And in that regard, I am going to be forming a employers roundtable to be able to listen to them and their concerns and try to customize whatever it is we have to do in this emergency setting to accommodate them as much as we possibly can in a safe way. And that's just a voluntary thing. They asked to be heard. I think they should be heard. And so I'm going to spearhead that. I'm going to take that up with the mayor. We have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow to discuss some of these things. One of the other things that I'm going to recommend, the newspaper this morning talked about the 911 situation with some construction on the right-of-ways along Highway 27. And anyone who was here yesterday or got to watch us on YouTube yesterday evening knows that we do have a situation with regard to some damage that's being done to our fiber optic lines from some new construction going down the highway. And it turns out that the cable that's being installed is a KISD cable. I didn't know that, but we now know whose it is. I talked to Marshall Heap today, the engineer with TxDOT, and they're working under the TxDOT permit, but it is a private construction company that's putting in the cable for KISD. And it's caused concern. Last week it came up because when they cut these lines, people lose their phone coverage. They lose their internet coverage, and in some instances, we're concerned whether or not they were going to lose their 911 coverage. And so what I'm going to do, and I've spoken with Commissioner Moser this morning, he probably knows the technical ins and outs of the redundancy system that we have in place for the telephones and the internet, he's going to be our liaison commissioner to coordinate with the contractor, with TxDOT, with all three phone providers, Hill Country Telephone, Windstream, and AT&T. And KISD if necessary, and our emergency staff, maybe even our engineers, whatever we need to figure out what is the best way to try to ensure that no one in Kirk County loses their connectivity to 911, EMS, and phone service. The last thing that I want to allow is for anybody in Kirk County to be isolated and unable to contact county government and city government in the event of a crisis. And so if need be, if they can reach an agreement, we'll take their recommendations. If they reach an agreement and figure out how to do it, I'm fine with it. If they don't, then I may consider taking emergency action to stop that construction until this crisis passes so that no one loses coverage. that's something that I find to be unacceptable. Finally, one of the things that I do in my job is I'm the juvenile judge. And sometimes that's entertaining and sometimes it's not. Yesterday, it particularly was not. And we are beginning to see a rise in juvenile incidents with the schools out. And one of the things that I am considering, and I intend to talk to our stakeholders about, is a possible curfew for minors, for juveniles. Something reasonable. I try to come up with something, but quite frankly, the incident that I had to deal with yesterday involved three juveniles that frequent my court, and 2 young men in their 20s, and I got to tell you, there was nothing good going on in that gathering, and we're seeing more and more. One of my other concerns, and I've talked to Jason Davis, our juvenile probation chief, is that out-of-county detention facilities. You will recall that Kirk County has closed its juvenile detention facility, and we now take those children and house them in other counties, mainly in Guadalupe County, Atascosa County. We've had some in Valverde County, and we have some out in Tom Green County in San Angelo. Just like our jail, like the sheriff done with the jail, some of these out-of-county facilities are no longer allowing us to put our out-of-county juveniles in their facility. So if it gets to where we can't place these kids in detention somewhere, then we'll have no choice but to keep these kids here and have to release them because we don't have a facility to keep them. And that means that the whole juvenile delinquency issue could increase exponentially. And so I'd like to be proactive and try to deal with this up front. I'm thinking something more along the lines of maybe should be finished with your activities by probably 10 o'clock. Try to have them home by maybe 11 or something like that. I've spoken to the sheriff about it. It's just something we're considering. And so I want the public to know that we may be imposing a curfew. So in closing, let me just emphasize that there is no positive COVID case in Kirk County yet. We suspect we'll probably get one, but we don't have it yet. They are in the counties around us, but Bandera County and Kirk County are 2 of the last in the Hill Country that don't have any. I'm declaring the disaster to address some of the economic emergency to help the business community as much as we can and let them have the benefit of some of those programs. I want to remind everybody that the courthouse is open for essential services. And if you're wondering whether or not it's an essential service, check it out. Pick up the telephone and call them. When in doubt, check it out. I am putting together an employer roundtable to receive input from the employers. I have formed this 911 committee to make sure that we protect everybody's telephone and emergency services. And I am going to discuss possible curfew with the other stakeholders. So my advice at this point to the public is, if possible, stay home. If you can't, then follow all of the other recommendations and the executive orders that have been put in place. Social distancing, limit 10 people per gathering, use your drive-throughs and takeouts. And I might add, yesterday I went and got a curbside service at Whataburger, and I got probably the best piece of advice I've gotten in this whole crisis. And the young lady that delivered my hamburger to me saw the plates on my truck, asked me if I was the judge, and we talked about it a little bit, and I asked her how things were going at Whataburger. And she was very optimistic. It was very helpful. But as we finished, she kind of paused, turned around and looked at me, and she said, "Judge, it's better to be safe than sorry." And so what we're doing here today is we're going to be safe rather than sorry. And that is the real purpose for declaring the disaster today. And with that, I want everybody to please stay at home if possible, be smart, stay safe, and God bless you. Thank you. I don't know if you guys are going to ask any questions, but Irene.
If you're going to have a curfew, the whole point of not bringing them into the, if you have a curfew and they're found, you're going to bring them in. Isn't that a bit of a conundrum?
We're going to send them home.
You're just going to send them home? Is that
We have no place to detain them.
Well, that's what I'm asking. What are you going to do when you go ahead?
Well,
if you have to.
We have not worked out the details of any of this.
Okay.
That's why I want to visit with the stakeholders. I want to visit with the sheriff. I want to visit with the police chief to see what's the best way to do this. But right now, we have a whole lot of kids that are roaming around out there with nothing to do, and they seem to find a lot of trouble. Now, I do want to correct that the property taxes are not suspended, correct?
That is correct, and we're still handling registration, titles, all the duties of my office. The state has suspended the requirement to renew your registration during this time of emergency statewide. But if you've got it inspected, then you can renew your registration online, over the phone. We have a Dropbox. Same way with property tax payments. Quarterly payments for our 65 and older are due the end of the month. Those, until the state does something, the county has no authority to suspend that. So we're still operating. We're just not person to person.
Judge, I'll just make a couple of comments
Please.
briefly. First, thank you for your leadership, and I support what you have done today. I think it is time to make the declaration. And I want to go back to a minute on courthouse being open. I want the public to be aware that while we are open, and pretty much for most functions, all of our offices have modified their operations. It may be a little bit more cumbersome for the public. Most of the offices are closed to the public. But there are arrangements made. We encourage people to use online payments for any payments, make call down here to set appointments up. So it's not business as usual, but we are getting through, and all the departments and all the elected officials, I believe, are fulfilling their responsibilities.
You have anything, Deb?
I just remind everybody that the best information for how to prepare yourself or how to prevent COVID-19 infection is to follow the advice on the CDC website as well as the Department of State Health Services website. Social distancing, wash your hands, use a napkin or Kleenex to cough into, and throw that in the trash and then wash your hands again. So those are all the things that we're using to inform the public about how to stay safe and prevent infection from COVID-19.
Okay,
Right.
thank you for coming.
Thank you.